Hey everybody, Grayson here, Gundam Gambler, episode 2. We're going to talk about Phantom Aria today. I think that this is an underrated set. I think you have decent value in here. And these booster boxes only being $80 to $85 right now, I don't think they're going to get much cheaper. And I don't think they're going to stay this cheap for much longer. And we'll explain what I mean in this video. We're going to look at top 1, 5, 10 values. And we're going to try and do a video for every set that's been released so far. And then I want to compare them all to really give you guys a good idea of what's going on right now with the sets released in Gundam. So starting off, booster boxes, $83. Not really too much to say here. Hasn't been out that long. And then doing a fairly deep dive here into the cards, you can see there are some fairly expensive ones. We're talking about LR++ being anywhere between $400 and almost $1,000. You'll see recent sales. Then you have some LR pluses, some SPs. We'll talk about mapability too and pull rates a little bit later on in the video. The first card we're going to bring up though, the Destiny Gundam, which is the most expensive card right now in the set. $805 according to TCG Player. Recent sales were pushing $1,000 on the platform. I did check eBay as well because I was curious. It looks like recent sales for near mint copies around $900, $950, so maybe a little bit lower than TCG Player, but not by much, right? So it is a very expensive card. It changes hands quite frequently. The thing about the Gundam LR++s, and maybe it's just for Phantom Aria because it's the newer set, I didn't see any PSA 10 slabs selling. I saw 2 Japanese versions, no English versions. I didn't even check PSA, so maybe there isn't even one graded yet, which would be surprising, but a lot of it is ungraded cards, at least right now for this set. Zeong, I know some people have already made fun of me for how I pronounce things. And, you know, if you want to be goofy in the comments and insult me, that's fine. But it would be a lot more helpful if you just educated me and told me how to say it correctly for future reference. But this is an LR++ as well. It's going for around $430. Recent sales pushing $600. According to eBay, though, this week, there's been sales in the $400 to $450 range. So I think TCG Player price is actually fairly accurate. Now, because we've covered both LR++s, I do want to say the pull rate data on LR++s is iffy at best, right? People are going to argue maybe it's 1 in 2 to 3 cases, maybe it's 1 in 4 cases. My gut tells me it's probably around 1 in 3 cases. You know, Bandai and One Piece, if you want to pull a manga, which is the top chase normally in a set, it's going to be 1 in 3 cases on average, which is about 1 in 862 packs. It wouldn't shock me if Bandai did the exact same pull rate for their top rarity in their other game. And if you guys missed yesterday's video, I do recommend going back and watching it. But one of the things that drew me to Gundam is the fact that you have similar pull rates to One Piece and these top chases that aren't incredibly difficult to pull. I mean, they're fairly on par with mangas and SIRs and Pokemon. They have value, right? Even though nobody is currently paying attention to the game. So that's something that I really like about Gundam so far. But those are the LR++s. Ale Strike Gundam, I might be mispronouncing that as well. This is $172 on TCG Player recent sales, around $160. The SPs in Gundam, my understanding is you're going to get 2 per case or 1 in every 6 boxes. And that's great. I mean, if you're paying $960 for a case of Phantom Aria currently, and the SPs are going for $170, $136, $77, $74, and you're guaranteed 2 of those, that's already a decent chunk of your money back just in the guaranteed SPs. You're also guaranteed, my understanding, a resource C++. So there's a lot of value that you can get right now out of a Phantom Aria booster box case, which again, booster box cases are mappable in Gundam, similar to One Piece. If you guys have watched my One Piece channel, you'll know that I'm still a big fan of loose boxes. I think the dead box argument is overblown. People are way too scared of that. A lot of boxes, you have to remember, they're going through very large stores, right, that are getting cases and cases of product. These stores are not wasting their time opening boxes, cracking for singles, pulling the LR++ out of one box, and then selling the other ones, right? If someone orders 4 boxes, they're cracking a case, they're pulling 4 boxes, and then the next order, if it's 6 boxes, they're pulling 6 out. Next order, if it's 4, they're taking 2 out of that case, they're opening another case, pulling another 2, right? Like that is how things operate in these large stores. So the dead box argument, it's definitely valid. I think it's going to be more relevant for the more expensive boxes in the future, but I still don't think that it's a big issue if you can only afford to buy a couple loose booster boxes, right? If that's how you want to invest, absolutely fine. But for the guys and gals out there that want to build larger positions, going for the sealed cases, it's just the way to go. So that's what I'm probably going to be doing if I want to build a very large position in a set. But moving on, Soleta Mercury, this is an R+, and this is going for around $152. Currently, recent sales may be a little bit lower, but still decent value there. And then the 5th most expensive card in the set right now, Gundam Barbados Adapt. I'm going to have to learn a lot how to say these names, but $136 here, recent sales, right around that. If we go over to my very fancy spreadsheet, you can see we're going to add in the coming days to this list, but booster box price, $83, top 1 value, $805, top 5 value, almost $1,700. That is deceptively high. And then top 10 value, just a sliver off of $2,000. And the reason why I'm excited about a set like Phantom Aria, having $2,000 in top 10 value is no joke. If we go and look at some of the top Pokemon sets, I mean, Black Bolt, people have been talking about this for months now because it has a ton of depth. And sure, top 10 value, it's a little bit higher, almost $2,100. Total set value, definitely a lot higher than Phantom Aria, but still in that range. If we look at something like Paldean Fates, I believe it's a little bit higher by like $35, but it's in that range as well for top 10 card value. Something else, I mean, White Flare, people talk about this set too. It actually has a higher top 10 value than White Flare. And I understand you can't go 1-for-1 Pokemon to Gundam or One Piece or any other game. It doesn't really work that way, but at the same time, having very expensive cards that you can pull out of a booster box is definitely a prerequisite to investing into that sealed product. So I think Phantom Aria, it's checking a decent amount of boxes. Also, a lot of these boxes are selling. We've sold over 4,300 of them on TCG Player, and we, I guess, the collective community, whatever. Over 4,300 boxes have sold in the past 90 days. That's a lot of boxes changing hands. Very, very liquid. And I understand if these get towards 125, 150, or if they're not used in the meta, the cards inside the box aren't used in the meta, you would see this slow down a lot, but still fairly easy to get rid of your product right now. And just to show you guys, I know we're jumping around a little bit, the rest of the cards inside the top 10, we have another SP here, another one, Unicorn Gundam going for around $75. The LR Plus version of the Destiny Gundam, which, by the way, in Gundam, they do have the base rarity of the same card, right? So some people, they might be alting out their decks to be flashy, but you can play the game for fairly cheap still. That is my understanding. Red Gundam, another SP here, $46, $47. And then Graceful Demeanor, this is going for around $45, rounding out the top 10. Even outside the top 10 cards, I mean, Victory Gundam, $35. Luna Maria Hawk, this is going for around $35 too. A few more cards over $30 and a decent amount over $20 as well. Now, the ultimate question is, should you be investing into Phantom Aria? And I think it's a little bit difficult right now to decide where you want to put your money in Gundam. Reason being, we don't even have the first anniversary set out yet. So it's very difficult to tell how strong of a set that's going to be in comparison to something like GDO4 or GDO1. I don't think it's a bad idea to buy a little bit of every single set, diversify. That's definitely a way you could go. You could load up on GDO1 because it's been the best performing set so far. It's the first set that's been released. You could buy beta boxes. But even if you're going to buy Phantom Aria and you're paying less than $1,000 per case, you know, $80-ish a box, I think you have a very low level of risk. And we've talked about this before on the One Piece channel. You know, if you're buying OP12 at $80 when it got to that price point, you probably did better than people buying EPO 1 at like $350, $400, just because your entry point was solid and the set was solid. It's not going to be the best investment ever, more than likely, but at the same time, very low risk. There's a decent amount of upside there. It's fairly liquid, some solid cards. That's definitely a way you could go. And then for you guys who don't enjoy buying the sealed product, I would recommend just following the pattern in One Piece. Top promos, most expensive cards in every set. If you want to get them ungraded, if you want to find slabs, maybe even be some of the first on the market and do a lot of grading in Gundam. There's a lot of options, a lot of ways you can go. So it ultimately depends on what you want to do in this TCG. So with all that said, thank you guys so much for watching. Apologies if this was a little bit rambly. I am recording after midnight, and you guys know what happens when I record this late. But if you enjoy the content, I'd really appreciate if you leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, hype it too if you have hypes. I still don't know how that works, but apparently it's important for pushing the videos in the algorithm. There's a lot of videos in the pipeline, more to come. Thank you guys for watching. Stay safe wherever you are in the world, and I'll catch you in the next one.